So the Divine Comedy is a three-part epic poem written between 1308 and 1320 AD in the Italian vernacular. So Dante is an epic poet who is put into the Inferno and tries to find his way out. And then his guide is Virgil, who is a famous Roman poet that was told to guide Dante through hell and purgatory. So Dante is the literal writer of this work. He's also the main character. So when they're going in, they have to go cross over in the underworld. And so you have Charon, who is from his Greek and Roman mythology of someone that rows you across to the underworld. So the first book is the Divine Comedy. And in it, Dante dies and is taken by Virgil through hell. And it shows his Christian understanding of the afterlife and Middle Ages. And a lot of popular culture conceptions of hell come from the Inferno, not from the actual biblical text itself. So he's going to go through 9 circles of hell. And the general idea here is that the punishment fits the crime. And you can get ideas about what Dante thought was the worst punishments and what people at the time thought. So the first circle of hell is limbo. So limbo literally means boundary or edge. So the first circle contains people who did not accept Christ in their life. So these are going to either be virtuous pagans or those who died before baptism. So answering the question about children. So they are not tortured, but they live gloomy lives. And this is where we get the first insight to Dante's views on things. So he runs into Aristotle and Socrates, these important Greek philosophers who, of course, predate Jesus. He also runs into Homer, the epic poet, as well as Julius Caesar himself. The second circle of hell is lust, and it's for people who broke their marriage vow and committed adultery. And so for this, strong winds blow there always. And there's a variety of people there, but people there included are Cleopatra, a real historical person, and Helen of Troy. Now, one of the people that Cleopatra had an affair with was Julius Caesar. So we can kind of see in Dante's mind here, Caesar is a virtuous pagan, but his mistress is being punished for lust. Of course, the Helen of Troy is the object of affection of many different men in Homer's poems. The third circle of hell is for gluttony. Gluttony isn't a word you hear very often anymore. So gluttony means overindulgence and overconsumption of food, drink, or wealth items, particularly as a status symbol. So think about medieval Europe. And there being times where people are literally starving to death because there's not enough to go around. How gluttony would be a real issue. So in this third circle, there is a constant icy storm that rains foul, decaying sludge and mud onto them. The storm is also supposed to contain worms and human waste. And this is where you can really see Dante as this self-insert. Okay? There's a rich man in Florence that Dante knew, and he places him in here. Okay? So basically saying, you're going to hell, to someone that's his contemporary. The fourth circle of hell is greed. So the circle is divided into 2 groups of people. People who spent lavishly, and people who hoarded. And these people, they are forced to wear a huge weight on their chest. If you look at some people here included, there are a few named popes and rich cardinals. So you have to take into account that Dante is writing this in what today we would call Italy. Okay, so it's very close to the actual seat of power in the Catholic Church. So if somebody in England had written this, it may have been different simply because it wouldn't have had this exposure to the power of the Catholic Church. And he can see some of the open corruption that's occurring at this time. The fifth circle of hell is wrath. And it is present in the stinking, decaying water of the Styx River. So again, the river Styx. This is a reference to Greek and Roman mythology being incorporated into Christian mythos here. And so the fifth circle is for people who lived in anger and sought revenge. So the souls fight each other for all of eternity. If someone tries to speak, another will choke them out. And Dante includes his real political rival, Filippo Argenti, here. So again, Dante's doing these self-inserts, and some of the nuance of Italian politics of the 1300s, you kind of need to know something about that to understand all of his references here. But you can see people that he doesn't like in real life, he's putting in hell. So the sixth circle of hell is heresy. So heresy, again, a word you don't hear a ton today. But heresy is belief or opinion contrary to orthodox religious doctrine. So in Dante's time, that would be specifically Christian doctrine, specifically the Catholic Church. So the souls of people who denied the core tenets of Christianity are trapped in flaming hot tombs. And so Dante meets some political leaders from his time. And some of it comes off as insider baseball because these people have not really endured in the historical record as important the way that Dante saw them. Okay, everything seems important what's happening right now. The seventh circle of hell is violence. And it is divided into three rings. The first ring is those that were violent against their neighbors. The second ring is those violent against themselves. So this is very specifically suicide. And so the view that someone that commits suicide automatically will go to hell. Okay, this would be consistent with the worldview of the typical person at Dante's time. And the third ring is those who show violence against God or nature. Alexander the Great is here, and Dante thinks he is not so great. Yeah, and interesting divisions that Dante is making here. Okay, big conqueror, Julius Caesar, considered a virtuous pagan, only in hell and limbo because he did not know about Jesus. Alexander the Great, similar conqueror, and he is in hell for violence. The eighth circle of hell is divided into 10 parts. It does have some real people. Part 1 are sex workers. Part 2 are flatterers. Part 3 are corrupt church officials. He specifically puts Pope Nicholas III in here. Part 4 has sorcerers, astrologers, and fortune tellers. Their heads are constantly being twisted. Part 5 are corrupt politicians. They are being dunked in boiling water. Part 6 are hypocrites. They climb a mountain with heavily laden robes, making it basically impossible to get to the top. Part 7 are thieves. They're punished in a pit of snakes, lizards, and other reptiles. Part 8 are counselors of deception and fraud. Part 9 are those who divided religion. So this is occurring before the Protestant Reformation, so you don't get to really see the Christian side of this. But in this, you see the Prophet Muhammad, Islam, and his son-in-law Ali are being ripped in half and put back together and ripped in half for all eternity. So in Dante's view, Muhammad starting Islam split the monotheistic people from the church. And then the reflection with Ali is that is the split between the Shia and the Sunni Muslims. So that split that religion itself as well. And then part 10 are alchemists, people looking for the elixir of life and turning things into gold. So, and this is sometimes feels a little bit weird to the modern imagination. You can understand, like, in his moral ideas, why he is against sex workers, and he's against corrupt people. But then flatterers and hypocrites are in this as well. It's all types of fraud, right? But then, sorcerers, astrologers, fortune tellers, alchemists. These are things that have kind of moved on as people's big concerns. The ninth circle of hell is treachery. Okay, so it is a frozen lake called Cocytus. And around 1 is Cana, named after Cain, who murdered his brother Abel in the book of Genesis. It's for those that betray their own family. 2 is Antenoro, named for Antenor, who betrayed his own city to the Greeks. So this is for people who betrayed their own country. And then we have Ptolemy, named after Ptolemy, because he invited his father-in-law to dinner and then killed him. It's for those that betrayed guests. And then round 4 is Judica, named after Judas, who betrayed God. So you see also where it's a combination of Christian and mythology and real historical people and myths and all that, right? So, Cain and Judas, very clearly characters in the Bible, and these other are from myths and like Ptolemy. So this is all being put together. So in the ninth circle of hell, you have the devil there, Satan, and he is constantly aiding 3 people. He's aiding Cassius, Brutus, and Judas. So Judas being there makes sense. He betrayed Jesus, right? Therefore, he is being punished. But Cassius and Brutus, they betrayed Julius Caesar. And it's really clear that Dante likes Julius Caesar because, again, considers him a virtuous pagan, has not committed violence, and his betrayers are given the same level of the betrayer of Jesus. So the devil's stuck there. Okay, he's not in charge, so to speak. He's stuck where he's at. Constantly eating these 3 people, these traitors. But they go through the devil, literally through his butt, to get out of this. So that is Dante's Inferno. That's the well-known part of the story. But then the rest of the Divine Comedy is less well-known. So you're going to leave hell, and you're going to purgatory. Okay? And so purgatory in Italian is the name of the next book. So purgatory is this intermediate place between heaven and hell for those not bad enough to go to hell or good enough to go to heaven. So purgatory is not found in the Bible. You're not going to find a biblical text doing this. This is a concept that developed during the Middle Ages. And so in Dante's view, those in purgatory will eventually go to heaven. But they need to spend X amount of time here to pay for their earthly sins. And I'm not going to focus on all these levels in the same way. This is here, okay, where we have the excommunicated, right? So people kicked out of the church, the late repentant, the proud, the envious, the wrathful, the sloth, covetous, the gluttonous, the lustful. And you see there is some overlap between these things in hell. So how bad the crime is affecting this. So he's going to go through all this, and then he can't go any further with Virgil. Because even though Virgil is a virtuous pagan, he doesn't know Jesus. So he can't make it to paradise. So the last bit is, again, paradise in Italian. And so in third book, Dante traveled to heaven or paradise. His guide is now Beatrice, a woman he had loved. Okay, so this was a real person. How she felt about him in real life is a bit unclear. He seems to be working something out through this writing. Again, Virgil can't go through. It doesn't matter how good of a pagan you are, that Jesus is the one that ultimately gets you to heaven. So, heaven has levels just like any other part of afterlife, and they're based on planets and these medieval understanding of planets. So the first sphere is the moon. It's for the inconstant. It's for those who are inconstant with their vows and have just made it from purgatory. Okay, so the starting spot. Second sphere is Mercury. It's for the ambitious. So people who did good out of desire for fame, not for God. So Dante meets Emperor Justinian here. Right? And so he's acknowledging that Justinian did good things in his reign, but Justinian's not doing it he did it for himself. The third sphere is Venus, and it's the lovers. It's good people who put their love of humans before their love of God. The fourth sphere is the sun. Right? So the sun and the moon being considered in the pantheon of planets. This is very 1300s Italy type thinking. It's for the wise. So some people included here is the Christian writer Thomas Aquinas, as well as King Solomon, who's supposed to be the wisest man who ever lived. Mars is for the warriors of the faith. Okay, so here we're going to find people like Charlemagne, Godfrey, and Roland. So all three of these people are Christians who had fought either Muslims or pagans and tried to convert them. Okay, so fighting in a holy war puts you in a certain place. The sixth sphere is Jupiter. It's for the just rulers. And people we see here are like King David and Emperor Constantine, who, of course, is the one that allows Christianity to become legal in the Roman Empire. The seventh sphere is Saturn for the contemplatives, big thinkers. The eighth sphere is the fixed stars. Faith, hope, and love. This is so Saturn's the last planet you can see with the naked eye. So you can't see further past that. And they don't have telescopes. So the fixed stars is a concept that's just not around today. But now you're getting straight up Bible characters. Okay, he meets the Virgin Mary, St. Peter, St. John, St. James. Notice that one thing that isn't a popular imagination is like St. Peter at the pearly gates. And here, that's not the case. He is not the one that lets him through. The ninth sphere is Prima Mobile. And we're going through some medieval concepts of planets that are beyond what they can see. The home of the angels. And so this is the medieval idea of a planet past Saturn. And it is the end of the physical universe. And then you get to the last bit. This is the Empyrean. It is a region beyond physical existence, the home of God. So even when they had to put in heaven, right? It was with the planets and the stars. Okay, they were literally up there in the heavens. But God cannot exist on earth. This is not a Mount Olympus. So they get to something that's hard to wrap your minds around. Empyrean, Son of God, and Dante sees three wheels circling. They represent the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And so he doesn't try to imagine an old man with a beard. And that's the end. And the idea is that Dante, the character, has made it through the entire journey. So this really speaks to this medieval worldview being mixed in now with the Renaissance, where you have all this combination of Christian ideas, ideas that have developed through Catholic canon, and these old Greek and Roman myths all being mixed together. So, something that I put students through talking about this. We don't actually read it, but to show this worldview that Dante has as you go through it. I'm going to apologize if I pronounced any Italian things wrong, but I hope you enjoyed it.